I never lived permanently in any other places, but I travel often. I travel for studies. I lived in Bordeaux for a couple of months. I live in the United States, many travel of 3 months, 2 months, but I always lived in Haiti. And we changed houses many times um, because after the hurricane, we had to leave and go and live in Port-au-Prince. And after we changed until my mother built a house in Pétionville. So I really experiment those changes in many times. And one of those happiest time, when I think about my happiest time is Paya, when we used to have those 3 months of vacation, and even when I was living there. You see, as a kid, and it was one of the best time in my life because first of all, we had the whole mountain as a house, and it was, first of all, the properties of Reno's Haitian mine were so wide. See, it was many cities included. And I used to hunt and walk across the mountains from one city to the other one. And this is the way I experimented the Haitian culture, the voodoo religion, when I used to pass by and hear the drum beat and I asked questions, what is this? And I wanted to know more about it. And in the center of Potomita, the first thing I learned when I was 14 was to reproduce those voodoo verves, those integrated design that represent the lois, and they are very creative, and I learned to reproduce them very early in my life. And also I learned about the Taino drawings and the way they used to carve their ceramic works, you see. And so I studied that also when I was very young, to observe and try to reproduce how they used to work and why they work like this, what was the meaning of those shapes for them, and the meaning of the verves in voodoo. And so that created a very deep interest for my culture, for religions. And later on, I will discover the real meaning of religion, which is the root of religion, which is spirituality, when I studied yoga. And through yoga, I understood better the voodoo religion, and that would lead me to study Reiki, because I wanted to be a doctor, but as I wanted to be an artist or a doctor. Because my elder brother, Michel, was studying medicine, and I was always witnessing all those very beautiful drawings of the anatomy. And sometimes I used to make those drawings for him. And even as a doctor, he was drawing beautifully. And he was always my first mentor, in my life, because my brother was a very great intellectual since very young in his life. And that challenged me, because every year at the School of Petit Séminaire, Collège Saint-Martial, at the end of the year, his name, they will call him like 4 or 5 times, to the podium, first prize of something, first prize of something. He had so many awards. And one day my mother told me, next year, your brother will not be in the school anymore. So I hope that I will hear the name of Dodard again. And I promise you will hear my name next year. So at the end of the year, they're giving all those prizes, and they call Philippe Dodard first prize of drawing for the whole school. And I was so proud, And so this is how I really understood the importance at school to be good in what you're doing and in what you love. Because I had difficulties at school, because to adapt myself to school, not to the subjects that I was studying, but to the way they were teaching the subject. Some teachers didn't have that ability to understand, because when you have 20 or 30 kids in a room, they are all different. They are not necessarily will follow the same methodology or the same pedagogy, you see, of teaching a subject. And myself, sometimes I will do the subject my way, you see. And finally, my mother understood that very early. And when I was in the lower grades, I quit school for 1 year, and I spent the whole year with my mother and studying with her. And I came back to school after, because she made me understand that my way of seeing things was important too, but I had to go to the school because that's where the teachers are, and they're the one can really make me understand better.